welcome to EdDale Live Ask Me Anything edition. We've got a bunch of questions here today, and as always, whether you're watching this live, watching the replay, or listening on the podcast, at any point during the week, if you want to ask a question or you'd like me to put you in a hot seat and review your opt-in funnel or page or your website or any of those sorts of things, you can go to the website, as I say, at any time at live.eddale.co. So anytime, any question, we'll see what we can do. You never know. You might get your question answered here, live, on the podcast and on replay. As always, we're brought to you by The Challenge. The Challenge was created to show people it's 100% free, and it's designed to show you how to get your start on business. And it's literally the best way, I think, given today's environment. It's completely refreshed, completely up to date. It's the best way to build a successful online business, particularly if you're starting out part-time. It's really designed to give you all of those steps. And of course, you can access that at anytime. It's available right now. All the latest and greatest information is there at challenge.co. So you can just type in challenge.co into the browser of your choice on your mobile device, and you are off to the races. Now, speaking of mobile device, speaking of races, fascinating stat I saw on the streaming at the Olympics just this morning. And now, let me just look at this data here to make sure I've got it right. Okay, 20% of people are watching streams on desktop computers. Now, 20% of people are watching the Olympics on desktop computers. 19% are watching on tablets. The rest, which is just a tad over 60%, watching it on mobile devices. This is really important because it's interesting because, my little audience, people who are interested in starting an online business, we probably actually tend towards doing stuff on desktop a little bit more. But the vast majority of our markets, the horse has bolted. It is mobile first. You should be looking at your opt-in pages on a mobile phone first. You should be looking at your funnels on a mobile phone first. You should be checking out how your emails look on a mobile phone first. It truly is. We've reached the tipping point. I've been saying it for years that it's coming, but it's happened so fast. The vast majority of people, 94% of people who are accessing Facebook, and they are Joe and Jane Smith, are accessing through some form of mobile device or tablet. It really is we've moved on from that era, yet I see so many times, opt-in pages, web pages, courses, the whole box and dice of niche publishing still targeted and designed for desktop first, where in the vast majority of markets, that's the last place. Literally, it's third on the list of things that you should be designing for. So an interesting thought with the Olympics going on as we speak, and so much more, in terms of watching streaming and seeing how that all works. And it's just fascinating, and one of the things you should be doing when you're looking at your market is asking yourself, well, where are the people who are interested in my market? How are they looking at things? This information is available. For your own stuff, have a look. Your Google Analytics will give you the breakdown of how many people are looking on desktop, how many people are looking on mobile, how many people are looking on tablets. Indeed, it will break it down to types of devices as well. So it's a really fascinating exercise, and something that I think all of us have got to be very cognizant of. Now, as I mentioned, we have lots and lots of questions. And this is an opportunity for you to ask me anything, and we'll go and do that. Now, Jody points out, and pot calling kettle black, she's on mobile now, but I have to stop the live video feed in order to ask a question. Sorry about that. I thought we designed around that, but apologies. So there you go. That's a classic example. I wonder how many of you are watching this on a mobile. I know certainly on a podcast, the vast majority of people are listening to it on a podcast. We do try to make the forms and everything very mobile friendly for you to submit a question. So there you go. That'll be one that I put out the questions to. And of course, if you are watching this live, you have an opportunity to do these questions. Jody also asks, are you using YouTube Live for this? Yes, we do. Depending on the type of broadcast, though, because we also have Apple TV platforms and Facebook Live and all of those sorts of things. There are platforms now that are available that allow you to pick and choose where you're streaming at. We're not using that today because we don't need to, but when we're doing bigger broadcasts and we really want to spread everywhere, we can do that using our niche style platform. But today it is on YouTube Live. So the next question here is from Brian, and Brian asks, what is your preferred marketing strategy for getting a niche business app successful? Okay, so the very first thing, assuming you've got the app in the first place, the very first steps are making sure that your metadata, as Apple will call it, which means your name, the title of the app, the description that you have, the screenshots, which by far and away are 10 times, 100 times the most important thing right now in getting right. Screenshot, it's very rare in marketing that you can give people a piece of advice and double or triple the impact of what they're doing. With screenshots right now, we are seeing that, and indeed, if you tuned in a couple of episodes ago, you saw a couple of examples where screenshots were not good as compared to good, and you could see the difference. So screenshots are part of that initial data too, and they have to be, like any app, being it an app, being it anything else, the very first thing you have to ask is, how is this app addressing my market's pains, gains, and jobs to be done? How is it being a pain reliever for the biggest pains that they have? And how am I telling people about that in the metadata of the app, the screenshots, the description, the heading, right, the subtitle? All of these things go to helping you get downloads. Oh, and one other thing, both in Google, Android, and iOS in particular, your downloads are directly related to the iTunes Connect keywords. You've got literally 100 bytes. That's right, you heard me correctly, not characters, bytes. Because in China and in some of the Chinese languages, one character actually takes up more than 1 byte. So most European languages and those based on the English alphabet, most of those characters relate to 1 byte. There's a piece of trivia for you. However, those keywords are the things that are going to directly relate. Now, of course, the other thing is, I used to, and it applies as well today, how can I tell whether an app is going to be incredibly successful or not? And it's like a continuum or a ruler. At one end of the ruler, you just let your app out into the wild. You just put it up there. That'll get you about a 1 in terms of success. You may luck out. That would be right. But do you know how I can absolutely guarantee that your app will be a success in your chosen market? It's pretty simple. Have a mailing list of a few thousand people and mail them about your new app. That's how you guarantee the success of your app. The fundamentals don't change just because it's an app. You still need to be able to, you take advantage of all of the assets that you have. Building a list, like we say, the fourth very important key focus of business is list building. Building that list is important. Now, apps give you a lot of fascinating marketing opportunities right now. They're the most interesting and dynamic form of lead generation and advertising, full stop, right now. Because on Facebook, you can do app-based advertising, which we know, because Facebook have published the data, is by far and away the most successful ad unit on Facebook right now in terms of impact and return, is the app ad unit. So you can go and target for your particular niche business, for example. You can target Facebook groups that are about that particular type of business. You could target competitors, their Facebook pages. You can say, I want to create an ad which only show, and by the way, you can say to Facebook, and I only want to show this when a device that can accept my app is looking at Facebook. So you can even target it down to the micro level, as you should do with all Facebook campaigns. You want to have hundreds of ads targeting very specific markets rather than having one ad trying to capture everything. So that would be a thing that you do as well, right? So, looking at ways that you can promote that app. Of course, the big daddy of them all is coming. Don't know exactly when, but it's sooner rather than later. We're talking September, October. And of course, that is the advent of pay per tap advertising. And without doubt, it's going to be as impactful as Google pay-per-click when it first started out, Facebook ads when they first started out, SEO when it first started out, for the very first time on the biggest and most profitable app store on the planet, the place where people with disposable income spend their money. And I'm, of course, talking about the Apple App Store. Forget your biases here. It's just the facts, right? People who spend money have Apple. It's that simple. Sorry, hope you're not offended by that, but that's just the reality. And you're now going to be able to, with no minimum bid, you're going to be able to target app names. You're going to be able to target trademarks. You're going to be able to target everything. It is literally open season, and Apple have done this very, very deliberately because they want to help out small and independent businesses. And that's the way you help them out, is by enabling pay-per-tap advertising. Did I mention no minimum bid? So if you've got a particular type of niche style business, then you are, you're in the box seat, because, how many people are going to do paper tap advertising on kiteboarding or pottery valuation or piano stool restoration? And we know 65% of downloads come from that store. So it's the next 6 months, as it comes to app, mobile, and app advertising with paper tap coming to the Apple App Store, it's going to be the wild, wild west. We can't wait for it. The things that you can do to prepare for it are exactly the things I've talked about during this answering your question, Brian. It's how many downloads am I currently getting of those people who see my app? How many of them are actually downloading? Because Apple, and based on our own data from Madcast and Scriptcast, you should be seeing about 40% downloads. I'm working with a lot of clients at the moment that are way less. And why? Number one reason, by so far it's not funny, it's like up here, all the other reasons are down here, is screenshots. Really poor looking screenshots that don't tell you anything, that don't sell, don't address people's pains, gains, and jobs to be done. They're by far the number one thing. Then, of course, it's app name. You've got to get your description right. The description, App Store doesn't limit in any practical sense, what you can write in the description for your app. So you should be writing a long-form sales letter. Here's the reasons why you should be downloading this app. You shouldn't be leaving it to chance. You've got a real opportunity here to connect with your market, and most people don't use it. They throw up a couple of boilerplate lines and that's it, right? Which is insane. So they're the things that you should be looking at, amongst other things, Brian. Hopefully that is helpful. Rowdy's just asking for clarification here. What exactly is pay per tap? Hopefully I answered it, but just to be absolutely clear, pay-per-click advertising is where you only pay money if somebody clicks on your ad, and it revolutionized the world of marketing, right? It's hard to believe it's 12 years now since pay-per-click advertising was first introduced by Overture in the old days, and Google, with pay-per-click advertising. It revolutionized everything, because instead of paying for advertising and not really knowing its effect or not, you would only pay for every click on the ad. And of course now Google pay-per-click advertising, it was very expensive. It's now coming down because of all the competition with Facebook, but you might pay $3 a click. So every time somebody clicks on your ad and goes to the page that you want them to go to, you would pay Google $3. Now in the old days, you used to be able to pay them 5 cents, and it was awesome. All right, it was brilliant. But of course, they tried to drive out all of the smart marketers, and they just wanted dumb big brands that would happily spend huge amounts of money and really not care about the return. Facebook is much more effective. YouTube even more effective again from a pricing perspective. Pay per tap, we're going to see 1 cent bids. You heard me right, 1 cent bids. Now, of course, if it's a competitive term, it's going to go up. But for non-competitive terms, Apple are not going to limit it. And that is incredibly exciting. So for a lot of niche publishers and niche app owners, who are in interesting, unique topic areas, you're going to get traffic for a cent a click. And that, we haven't seen that for probably 10 years now. And that is really, really exciting. So that is what pay per tap is all about, and pay per click, and it's a very, very exciting area. Ultimately, paid advertising is the best form of marketing because you can control it. Once you understand and you start it small, then you can figure out what works, what doesn't. Once you get a return on your investment, and so for example, we ran a Facebook campaign recently that was costing us about $2.20 a click. All right, and you think, oh, that can be expensive. Now, we're in a super tiny market. So, but here's the thing. We know that for every person that opts in, so $2 an opt-in was what it was. Let's be very clear. $2.20 an opt-in. So an email address effectively cost us $2.20. But here's the deal. We know that email over the next 90 days, on average, not every single one will do this, some will spend more, some will spend less, is worth, on average, $11. So I would do that deal every day and twice on Sunday. Unfortunately, the market, the internet marketing online business world is a tiny, insignificant market compared to the world at large. So when you do it in a big market like a pottery valuation or something that's really popular, you will be able to do extraordinary things with it. So that's why we are so excited about that. Next question, what do you think about the Mevo camera for Facebook Live streaming? Vicky asks. Mine's just arrived. The Mevo camera is quite cool. It's a sort of automatic tracking camera, and you can control it, and it'll do live streaming and all that sort of thing, which is awesome. I'm doing live streaming right now. But a lot of you will be watching. In fact, the vast majority of people who watch this show or listen to this show do it on the podcast, or they watch it in review. Now, so there's a different question here. Mevo camera, awesome piece of tech, really cool. I might even get one to try myself. But here's the deal, right? Live impromptu streaming, I think, from a marketing perspective, is just a waste of time. Sorry. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Think about all the things, and for all of you who are on here right now, you could be watching, actually the Olympics is pretty much over for the day, but you could be doing all sorts of things, watching all different things. You could be watching Netflix. There's so many awesome things you could potentially be doing. To interrupt somebody's Facebook with a Facebook Live session is, I don't get it. I don't understand its marketing worth. I do understand it from the perspective of if there's something happening which is unique in real time, it makes a lot of sense to do that. Most niche publishers, most of the time, are not in that category. We do, but Ed, hang on, you hypocrite, you're doing this live right now. But we emailed you guys, we do full social media campaigns to let you know this is on now. So and we do this every week, unless I'm traveling, we do this same bat time, same bait channel. Right, so people start to know that there's a regularity to it. I wonder about impromptu live stuff. I don't see the merit in it most of the time. I think you can do live. I think the ability to do live is brilliant. I mean, the fact that we're doing this now is extraordinary when you think about it. I mean, it just wasn't possible even a few years ago, or hideously expensive. Hideously expensive. But I think you have to let people know. I think you have to provide plenty of options for them to watch it in their time, in their place, in their space. the days of expecting people to come to a particular thing at a particular time are over. We are living in a streaming society. The Olympics, we talked about the Olympics earlier on, they're, the way that they're doing streaming, and they're trying to, the old media companies are desperately trying to control when broadcasts happen. And I know for my American mates, it's particularly galling because they, if you're watching NBC, you're seeing everything well after it happened. And in a day of Twitter and Facebook and all these sorts of things, it makes no sense. So I love the idea of the camera, but what I would argue to you from looking at it from a marketing perspective is have your live broadcasts as part of an overall content strategy plan. So, for example, I do this broadcast and I do it live, and I get the ability to respond to people's questions live, and hopefully adds value for people who want to come to this thing live. We do it as a podcast because for a lot of people, that is the most convenient way to consume this information. Then we do it as a replay, and then we break up certain chunks, answers of questions, and create them as specific short YouTube videos, which then people search and look for and come across. And so we're utilizing all of this content on multiple times, multiple facets, multiple angles of attack. And that to me is the future of it. So that's the thing that I would be thinking of it. And Vicky says here, and Vicky says, and this is a great usage of live, is she'll be using it in a closed Facebook group. And I must admit, I do live Facebook broadcasting, and I do it almost exclusively in the closed groups of, Digital Success Elite and people who have bought Kanban for Entrepreneurs, because it's a great way, if I think of something, I get it down. I don't expect anybody to be watching me live. I really don't. But I do expect and see the stats. People watch the stuff and interact with the stuff beautifully. So don't be thinking that people are going to drop everything to watch you live, but it can be an awesome way to just capture a thought, capture something that's useful. Final piece of advice with Facebook Live video is, even if you're going live, have a plan. Why are you going live right now? What are you trying to get across? I'm seeing way too much stuff, and this is contributing to the death of people watching live broadcasts. There's so much ramble. There's so much doing things without any sort of focus or targeting. The reason I do this is typically there are two types of show that I do it here in the live format. One is I'll have a specific topic that I want to present before I get into questions. And then shows like today, the Ask Me Anything shows, are where I've got questions as topics, so they keep me on track, and I'm trying to answer those questions as best I can and give as much value as I can while I'm on the broadcast. And so when you're doing live, if you're going live, and for my closed Facebook groups, typically I'm showing them something in real time. It's a great opportunity, like when I'm working on my Kanban board, that way behind me, often I'll do a little live broadcast showing my thinking as I'm going through doing my own thing, because that's a great opportunity. Now, I don't expect people to be looking at that live, but it's content that they can consume and use later, and the quality is getting good enough that I can also drop in those live things here. And I've done this before, not doing it today, but I've done it before, where I can show it on this show as well. So that is something cool. Okay, asked here, have you got a course or guide on Facebook advertising? Would love to target specific groups. We do, actually. It's not open just at the moment, but keep an eye out, because we're just in the process of updating everything. Because it changes so much. So we have a great course, and the fundamentals of that course are fabulous, but there's so many new opportunities right now. So keep an eye out for that. Don't worry, we'll let you know when we have something. Okay, so we've done that. Here's one. And get this right. Athenios, I think it is, says, "Hi Ed, is it possible to make a significant monthly income from affiliate marketing and ClickBank products? Is it possible to develop hundreds of micro-niche affiliate sites to make a significant monthly profit? Would you recommend an affiliate marketing business? Regard, Athenios." All right. I don't think you're going to like the answer to this. In the old days, And maybe even now, there are certain arbitrage opportunities where you can create hundreds of different sites. In fact, if we go back 10 years, where in fact it's the 10-year anniversary of the very first Google slap. One of my claims to fame is that I came up with the term Google slap. And it's literally as we speak, it is 10 years to the week when Google wiped out the fortunes of thousands and thousands of online marketers who had basically, and with good reason, I might add, because they had effectively, completely, I was going to swear there, they'd poisoned the well when it came to automating and creating pages, and everything you clicked was AdSense and so on and so forth. Today, my belief for 99% of you watching or listening to this, the answer is you find a niche that you love, you look at that market, you understand what are their pains, gains, jobs to be done. You look to serve that market, to build your influence. You look and see where you can get traffic in that market. You build a list, you create valuable products and services that solve problems and create solutions for that market, and you do test and experimentation, you rinse and repeat. This is what we teach in the challenge. Okay? That to me is the only option going forward for the 99% of people. Will there be arbitrage opportunities where you can create a computer program to spew out bunches of X and maybe make some money? Yes, you will, and inevitably they will be stopped and you'll be banned. To this day, all the people that were hit in that original Google slap can still not advertise on Google. They've been permanent banned. People who used all the Facebook arbitrage tools a couple of years ago, banned. You can't risk banning things. Arbitrage businesses are businesses, but they are not what I teach, right? Because you can't, you need to build value in a marketplace. You need to find a niche, and the beauty of there's never been a better time in history. Never. You find 1,000 true fans that will spend $100 with you over the course of the year. That's a $100,000 a year business with about 30% on average costs with a digital business. That's $70,000 profit. That's the formula. That gets you up and going, and then you can decide to build from there. But that gives you choices at that point, right? That's the process. So you need to find that market. That's the only way. And how do you do that? Challenge.co, it is completely and utterly free. You've got the blueprint to get you started. In those 6 modules there, it's there for you right now. As I've said many times, I do not recommend an affiliate marketing business to start out, with 2 caveats. There are 2 great times to use affiliate marketing, right? And one time is not designed to make you money, and the second time can make you extensive amounts of money. The first time is when you are testing a marketplace. Often you won't have a product. In fact, I hope you don't have a product when you're first experimenting with a market, because you still don't know what works yet. But a great test you can do, a great experiment that you can do, is offer an affiliate product. We often do this with Kindle books, or something that is a low ticket item. Do people in this market spend money? That is a great time to use a ClickBank product or an affiliate product or an Amazon product or an app, an affiliate app from Apple, whatever it happens to be. It's great for testing, okay? You don't expect to get rich on it, all right? That's not the point. The point is to understand, what is this market buying? Are they buying this thing? What are their tastes? What are their pains? What are their gains? You can learn so much. So that's part 1. Then part 2 is at the end of the process, when you've built your reputation, you've built your influence, you've built a mailing list, people trust your recommendations, you honor that trust by recommending stuff, not for the sake of recommending it, but because you think it is really, really good. You do that, and let's face it, the reason most people buy in this day and age, because we're so bombarded with marketing messages, it's that referral, that somebody saying, wow, this is a really good book. In fact, so for example, Dave Jennings sent me Authority Content. I read it a couple of weeks ago. It's a really good book. If you go right now to Amazon, the Kindle version is completely free. Okay, go right now. You can type Authority Content and you can get the Kindle version for absolute free. And it's a really, really good book on how to capture attention, skyrocket engagement, and build trust. And David is a brilliant entrepreneur, and he's known actually from his search engine optimization stuff. So this, I think, is a brilliant book and really good read, and it's available for free. And lots of you listening to the podcast are going to go and grab that book, A, because it's free, but B, because I've recommended it. And if it turns out that this book is rubbish, then the next time I recommend something, you're not as likely to do it. So I won't recommend stuff that is not good. Okay, does that make sense? That is what we're talking about. And that is where an affiliate marketing business can be brilliant, because you don't have to create the product. You don't have to deal with the customer service. You can just recommend things. People can make great businesses out of doing just recommendations. Look at the YouTubers. They are another example of affiliate marketing and native advertising type businesses. All really good. But what's the difference? They've built their audience. You have to focus on building your audience first. Nothing happens without you building your audience, building your list. That's what you've got to do first. So that is very, very important. Okay, next one. Christine says, rather passively aggressively, I have written you several times with this question. I don't recall this, but take your word for it, Christine. But good news, we're going to answer it right now. Do you have any special programs for USA real estate agents? I do not my bag of fish, but I can recommend to you the absolute person you should be listening to, and that is Dean Jackson. Dean Jackson, most people know who follow me, his dear friend and brilliant marketer, creator of More Cheese, Less Whiskers, which is a free book that you can download at his morecheeselesswhiskers.com. Brilliant marketing methodology, breakthrough DNA, and so on. But he got his chops through creating amazing real estate marketing information. So if you like my style of things and want to apply that specifically for real estate agents, Dean Jackson is your man. You want to go and check out his stuff with regards to real estate agents, because he's brilliant at it. In fact, in a couple of weeks' time, I can't wait. I'm spending 3 days up in Sydney with Dean Jackson and James Shrenko, and we're going to be working with people for 3 whole days. It's going to be really super exciting. I can't wait to do it. And, there's no marketer on this planet that I have ripped off more than Dean Jackson's stuff. So he's definitely the guide for you for USA real estate stuff. Indeed, in a recent episode of the More Cheese, Less Whiskers podcast, which I absolutely recommend you listen to as well, he was talking to a real estate agent in Cape Ann, I think it was, up in Massachusetts, and talking about using the 8 profit activators to a real estate business. So definitely who you should be looking for. So Christine, it was worth the wait. I answered that question so expertly and so well that I'm sure next time you won't be so passively aggressive. So next one is, we answered anything else there? Aditola Julia says, if you were to coach someone to start an online business from scratch with the goal of earning $8,000 to $10,000 within a month from September 1, what aspect of internet marketing will you likely go into, and what will you charge to coach such a person? The trainee has basic knowledge of niche research, running Facebook ads, etc. Okay, well, I would take you on if you had a list of 100,000 people, because then I could be pretty certain that we could make you $8,000 to $10,000 that next month. And indeed, with my private client practice, depending on who I'm working with, I'm actually working with a whole bunch of people who are starting right now. However, if you're starting, you're not going to make $8,000 or $10,000 in your first month. Sorry, just not going to happen. Unless you've got a big list that you can utilize to, well, when I say big list, you've got 4,000 or 5,000 people who are members of your tribe. Making $8,000 to $10,000 is not going to happen. I recently worked with a private client who was in hockey coaching, ice hockey coaching, And I did make him, I think it was $25,000 over 4 days of working with him, which was pretty awesome, right? I'm a genius. Not really. He had all I did was provide the campaign and work with him to create the campaign. He already had the list of 4,000 hockey coaches. So when we packaged it, and he had the product there, which was a great product, ready to sell. So it didn't take rocket science. Well, I shouldn't sell myself short. We understood how to do that particular campaign and tailor it for the pains, gains, and jobs to be done for ice hockey coaches. But that was how it happened. The reality is, if you are starting from scratch, and I'm looking at the wrong camera, sorry. Don't know why I'm doing that. The reason that works is because they already had a list. If you don't have a list, you've got your first job is to build the list. You're not going to make 8 to 10,000. The best, I'll guarantee you. Yep, I will guarantee you there is not somebody who created an online business on this planet who started from scratch and made $10,000 in their first month. I'm pretty privileged to know the best online marketers on the planet, and I can tell you, Frank Kern's first month with his dog training business was $300. He made $300. Mine was, I think it was a couple of thousand all up. But that was that came with a lot of background knowledge and a lot of, understanding and doing a lot of copywriting training, so that I knew how to write a sales letter pretty well at the time. All of those sorts of things. Having said that, I don't want to discourage you, but I also want you to be realistic, because do plenty of people make $8,000 to $10,000 a month? Of course they do. No problems whatsoever. But they do it through a list, and they do it and build it through a list and understanding. If you had the other way, of course, to do it, there is another way, is that you spend, remember I said it cost me $2 per email. If you can build a funnel for a product and target that product, and you have an advertising budget, then potentially you could also make $8,000 to $10,000 that way. That would be the other way that you would do it. But you would need to spend the advertising budget to bring in that traffic in the first place. So it's not out of but you might have to spend $20,000 to make that first $10,000, but then you're building your list and off you go to the races, right? So I shouldn't say that there's no way, but it's just my experience is that there are no shortcut solutions. Look, you might come across the occasional person who has done that, right? But here's the thing. I do this podcast, I run the challenge, and I do all the products and everything. I teach for the 99%, not the 1%. The people who have particular luck or a JV or anything like that. If we teach to those stories and those, approaches, then most people are going to fail, right? Because it's not reality. It's not life. The reason that I do the challenge and the reason that we make that all available for free is because it's the best fundamental way to start an online business, full stop. It just is. And it's because it's fundamentals, right? It's focusing on those fundamentals. And as I always say, if, $8,000 to $10,000 a month, well, you can have no life from the age of 10 and do years of training, and become a doctor, and hopefully about 10 to 12 years after you've graduated, you'll be making about that money. That's 160 grand, maybe a little bit more. So do you see where I'm going with this? I just want to be real with you. You need to have realistic expectations, and there's a very good reason for this. Because here's what happens. Here's the thing that happens, and I see this all the time. You get super excited, you see somebody's promotion, and they're showing you how they made $1 million in a day, and it's true, right? Make no mistake, it's true. You can't make that stuff up anymore. In the old days, you could. But in these days with social media, if you're bullshitting people, you are going to get found out super fast and you're done, right? Your online reputation is ruined forever. So it's just not worth it, right? Okay, so it's true. What they're saying is true. But what you don't see is the build-up, the work they did, the favors they did to get, JVs and affiliates and all those sorts of things. You don't see the 2 years of work to build up to that point to have the $1 million day. right? And so what happens is you just see the fact that this person's making $8,000 to $10,000 a month. So you go out and do it. And guess what? Your first month, you don't. And you've expended all this willpower, and your brain just wants you to be happy. And it's going, gosh, I didn't make any money, let alone $8,000 to $10,000 a month. So I'm going to go and chase the next shiny bauble, hoping that that is the lottery ticket that makes everything work. And it just doesn't. It just doesn't. The path I'm offering, the approach that I teach, is something that is, the promise. What's the promise? That you put in 12 months, build a list, find 1,000 true fans, and have them spend $100 over the course of a year, and you've got $100,000 a year business, and then you can build from there. Even your unicorns, right? Even your, the average unicorn, and the unicorn is $1 billion company that sells for $1 billion plus. You know what the average time is for them to hit that IPO or to go public to make that huge payday? It's 7 years. 7 years. And that is working intensely 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Most people watching this don't have that luxury. They've got commitments, they've got challenges, they've got mortgages, they've got day jobs, they've got kids they're trying to put through school. All of these things, right? So I have to teach for the 99%, not the 1%. So, sorry I can't be more positive, but on the other hand, if you can get through that, I mean, it's pretty fun what we do, right? It's a pretty good way of doing it, and it's real. So that's my advice. Scott asks, I'm thinking about doing I'm thinking about doing a boosted post on Facebook for each new issue of our Magcast. Do you think I should just target people who like our page, or should we go with a large custom audience? Scott, test small, right? Particularly with Facebook. Let's see what the thing. Do a test. Do a $20 test and see what the results are. How many people click through? How many people? What's the purpose of getting them to your Magcast? Are you just wanting to encourage readership? That's a possibility. I've got to say, with my direct marketing hat on, I'm thinking, well, what am I trying to encourage here? Am I trying to encourage subscriptions? Am I trying to build leads? Am I trying to get people their email addresses so I can, help them out and provide incredibly valuable products and services to make their life easier and get them to where they want to go? Is that what I'm up to? Why am I doing it? But you don't want to go for a big campaign when you can do a small campaign. Test small, test safe, small, and fast. That's our mantra. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people blow through thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for no real reason, because they're not tracking properly. They don't understand the objective. Why are they doing that marketing spend? What's the approach? What problems are they solving for the market? Why are they getting people to read the stuff? All of these things are there. And it doesn't take hours to answer all this. This is a 5-minute conversation. The way I do it, set the timer for 5 minutes, and then just write down, what are the objectives of this campaign? What are the metrics? What am I trying to see here? What am I trying to improve? What's the key thing that I'm trying to do? Is it list building? What is it? What am I doing to build that? And just, without going into detail about, in terms of what you're trying to do there, Scott, readership for readership's sake, I don't get, right? I don't understand that, right? It's good to get, if you've got great valuable information, you want people to read that information for them to remind them that it's there. But if you've got a Magcast, you've got a much better mechanism to remind them about readership, and that's called push notifications. Text messages for apps. Brilliant, right? And you can, depending on, you've got a Magcast, but you can send different push notifications to people who have subscribed or people who haven't subscribed. All these sorts of things are options. You can send them to specific pages, to specific articles, so you can actually give them a much more valuable experience by using push notifications to encourage readership. Because we do need to encourage readership, right? Just because we've subscribed to something doesn't mean we'll read it. How many things have you got that you've subscribed to that you've said, yes, I want to look at that? Like, I've got 3 emails in here of emails I love getting, right? I love their newsletter emails, but they take a little while to go through. And I've got like a bunch of them all piled up there that I want to read. I do want to read them, but I just don't have the time. I just haven't got to them yet. And most people are like that. So, you do have to encourage consumption. You do have to encourage readership, but you need to use the right tool for the job. And to me, you've got an exceptional tool. The problem that people have when they're doing push notifications is they're too generic. They just say, hey, latest edition of the magazine's out. Hey, we've got some new stuff on our app. Go check it out. No, that's not what you want to do. If you have a pottery valuation magcast, you want to say, the push notification, take a line from BuzzFeed, right? OMG, you wouldn't believe these 7 new ways of, valuing Venetian pottery. I made that up completely. I have no idea. But there's a reason that works, right? Because that, and all of a sudden, if people are interested in Venetian property, and they love property valuation, pottery. Property valuation is a thing too, but I'm talking pottery. They love pottery valuation. That's a thing too, right? And if I'm into pottery valuation and and I particularly love Venetian pottery, and you're telling me that there's 7 new ways of valuing this, then I'm going to click on that. And the best part is because you use smart notifications and deep linking, you can send them directly to that specific article, so you're not wasting their time. And because it's a preloaded app, it all happens instantly, which Joe and Jane Smith want. Speed is everything. So that's why horses for courses, tools for fools. I don't know why I said tools for fools. It just rhymes. But you've got to get the right tool for the job. Okay? And if it's readership you're encouraging, push notifications are probably the best, the best type. So that's there. Okay, let's have a look. Babs says, hi, do I use a separate Kanban board for family and work? So Kanban board, for those of you who are wondering what a Kanban board is, you'll see one at all times behind me in my videos, and there's a very good reason for that, because one of the 2 rules of Kanban is that it should be visual. You need to be able to see it. You can't avoid it. But the specific question is here, do I have a separate one for family and work? And the answer is no, because I don't have separate life, right? And I'm the one who's responsible for it. So any commitments that I have for health, for work, for family, and so on, they all go up on that, because that's my board. That's me. That's my life on that board, right? And that's the purpose of a personal Kanban board, and we teach this in Kanban for entrepreneurs. Now, for projects, I do have different things, but they have Scrum Masters, people responsible for the process and looking at things, because I know with my particular Colby score, I just won't look at stuff. Even if I set it up and build it, I won't look. I won't set it up. So it's very important. And tools like Trello and those sorts of things you do manage by project there, but each of those projects has somebody that's responsible for just managing the project. And that's what we teach in Scrum for Entrepreneurs in Achiever Formula. But specifically for Kanban board, you just go for it. Or everything on the one thing, because it's about flow. And if you don't, here's why, let's be very specific. Often the things, and this goes particularly for entrepreneurs who are working 9 to 5 and they want to get something started, right? They want to build something on the side, which is a lot of people who do the challenge. The reality is the things that will stop you from doing your business are often not the business stuff, even though there's enough challenges there. It's the stuff from other areas of your life. And if you don't track all of that, and if you don't visualize all of that, you'll forget it, right? It's the Zeigarnik effect. And you'll just have this horrible feeling at the end of the week that you didn't do anything on your business, and you'll be down on yourself. Whereas if you were tracking everything that was going on in a visual way, in a low effort way that Kanban gives you, then, of course, you can see, oh, look at all this stuff. I spent 2 days, I was traveling. There's no way I was going to get that. And then you can look, and that's where the retrospective comes in. And when you reset your board for the week, like I did this morning, the thing I asked myself, am I traveling? Am I going to be out of the office? Have I got meetings? Have I got a lot of consulting sessions this week? What does my week look like? And then I can plan accordingly. And that's the beauty of that sort of board. Now, Danelle Allen says here, do you have an opinion on chat response as an alternative to traditional autoresponder? I tell you what, I think chat response is the future. All right, I definitely think it's where the world is going. I think it will take over from autoresponders. I think it will take over from email eventually. Right, what do I know about direct marketing? Since the beginning of time, the most effective direct marketing channel has always been, but trailed, the way that you speak to your friends. So what's the most effective thing you can do in order to get people to act or do something? Right now, as we speak today, and I suspect for the next couple of years at least, email. Right? Why do we say build an email list? Because it's the best compelling way. And for the better part of a decade, it was the way we spoke most often to friends. However, how do you speak? And before that, what was it? Phone, telephone. We'd pick up the phone. And before that, letters. Right? We'd write to people. What do we do today? And ding, 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 if you answered, we text people. That's the main way we speak to friends. We use messaging and text. So you can guarantee that if we're doing EdDale Live in 10 years from now, I will guarantee that the way we get people to act is through text messages and chat messages and the like. And I think customer service will go the way of chat messages. Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, and Google are investing huge amounts of money in bot technology, in artificial intelligence that will help scale all of those sorts of things. All of those things will become a very big part of what we're doing. And it's going to be very, very exciting. And I think you're going to see new business opportunities, and I think you're going to see new service opportunities, and so on in everybody's market. And it'll be something that I'm very excited to, and trust me, you'll have a front row seat because I think it's going to be huge. Having said that, do I think, would I drop collecting emails and doing autoresponders for chat style push notifications just now? No, I would not. But it is the future. So, I definitely think it's something that's there. I think for customer service, it's going to be great. I think, it's the way it's going to go. Why? Because the fundamental law of direct marketing is the direct marketing tool that will work best. But trails, remember, it's a trailing indicator, is how we speak to our friends. And of course, how we speak to our friends right now is messaging. So messaging is going to be the deal. And so, I can very much see products that are going to be created to serve your markets around messaging, around artificial intelligence. It's very exciting, right? And, I can't wait to see what the next 10 years brings. But that's going to be part of it. So that's definitely going to be something. James asks, speaking of email, how many emails on average should you start off with for your autoresponder series? Right now, I just have the thank you and welcome. Well, what are we trying to do? So the thing is, why are we having an autoresponder sequence? Okay. Initially, what we suggest is that you create what we call a value sequence. So in fact, we cover this in Achiever Formula. And a value sequence is basically trying to help. We know, well, I hope you know, because it's Focus Business Focus 1, which is market understanding. So we know what the conversations and questions are in our prospect's head. We know the pains, gains, and jobs to be done. And effectively, we've got them, as Dean would say, to raise their hands. We've made an invisible market visible. And at this point, they've given you their email. So part of what you should be doing in the email sequence is delivering on the promise. Why did they give you that email in the first place? How can you best serve them in terms of an autoresponder sequence? So that's part of it. The danger that people and mistake people make with their email lists, and I see bloggers do this in particular all the time, is that they're constantly give. And so when they actually ask for money, there's outrage because they've trained their market for just constant free information. And that's why, we encourage a value sequence where at the end of the video, we always make some sort, so as we're doing a value sequence, so it might involve 2 or 3 videos helping them with that key pain that they've given us their email. So I want absolutely to solve that problem. And people say, well, Ed, if you're solving their problem, they won't buy from you. Nothing could be further from the truth. As Gary Halbert used to drill into my head, the more you give away, the more they will pay. It's vital, that you fulfill the promise. So that's what your autoresponder sequence should be. But what we do is we make sure at the end of the video, we're always saying, if the time is right for them, maybe the time is right for them to look at a particular product, or it's a time is right for them to inquire about doing some one-on work with me, or any of those sorts of things. So we create a sequence, but we give away immense value, but we're also always pretty much asking a question about, hey, is this right for you now? Are you interested right now? Because I don't know when my market is going to be interested. What I do know is it's not going to be on my timetable. I wish. And I'm pretty sure your market operates on the market timetable, not yours, as much as you would like it to. So you just have to be there for them. So, the autoresponder should be about fulfilling that promise, but it should not be to the exclusion of not making some form of offers or even doing tests. Remember early on in this broadcast, we talked about using affiliate products as tests. That's a perfect opportunity to do all of that. Okay, so let me just double check. Peggy says, lots of info tonight, Ed. Thanks for the great show. And Jody says, great advice, keeping it real. I've got a request to do a review, but we're at the end of the broadcast. So, Jody, if you want to give us if you want to just fill in a little bit more information, and we'll look at it next week for you. We've got a site that she wants us to have a look at. So we'll tell me what the problem is, and if you've got a site that you're having a problem with, or maybe it's an ad that's not getting clicks, or it's an opt-in that's not getting emails, and you want me to have a look at it and review it live for you, then please go to live.eddale.co. You can do, if you're listening this in the podcast now, you can go at any time to live.eddale.co, and you can pop it in and show us examples. Put a screenshot somewhere where I can find it, or a web address, and make sure you tell me what the problem is. What's the challenge that you're having as well, rather than just saying, have a look at this. Okay, so do that, and would love to do that. Don't forget, of course, I've mentioned it plenty of times during this particular broadcast, but challenge.co is truly and honestly the best way I know how to get you started in an online business. I really do think it is the best. One final bit of information is from Shane Lucas, has said, Kanban has been a kick in the ass for me, Ed. I'm tipping Shane's Australian. I've been getting a lot more accomplished since I implemented your Kanban course. That is awesome. That's what we want to hear. So with that, we'll wrap it up for today. Hope you got some valuable information. As always, live.eddale.co if you want me to help you out. And we'll see you, same bat time, same bat channel next week. All right, folks, enjoy yourselves, and we'll speak soon.